Oh, why? My dad said when I was little, he would find me in front of the mirror practicing making funny faces. And he was like, son, why you do this? And I replied, to which I replied, how am I gonna know what they look like? I've always been really silly. And it's kind of odd. Because I'm certainly not as silly as I used to be. You know. Kids are always silly. All kinds of kids, actually. See, like, baby horses, or you know, any kind of animal. They're just like running and frolicking and being ridiculous. That's interesting. But I'll hit jags when I'm having like really good days, and usually coffee's involved. But I'll hit a really good day and I'll just be like goofy and in a great mood. And that's Crazy Troy. And Crazy Troy usually comes out when I either don't get enough sleep or get too much sleep. Which begs the question is, you know, who is the real Troy? Although if we want to think of ourselves as component personalities, and everyone's the same person at the same time. But if I had my druthers, I'd druther be Silly Troy more often. The idea that it happens when I get enough sleep is disconcerting to me, bothersome to me. It's like enough sleep is considered optimal. So at my optimal operating conditions, I'm Silly Troy. And I'm not certainly not as frustrated. Don't have as much of an anger problem. I'm not short with the kids, and like that's a good thing to aspire to be. Like I want those things, but the result is the cost is more sleep. Cost? Is cost the right word? I don't know. Sleep is a very strange thing, particularly for me, because I get behind on it and it'll take me like a week to catch up. So it's not like, well, I'll sacrifice a few hours and I'll get like I'll get like 10 hours of sleep in. And you can oversleep too, obviously. And then you get cranky in a different way, I guess. I don't know. But like, I would have to keep it up. It would have to be a sustained effort, and that loses a lot of time. And I don't know. That time is very valuable for working stuff out, accomplishing things. But what if what I want to accomplish is becoming Silly Troy more often? I could just as easily call it Happy Troy. It's just a lot of, you become an adult and there's more responsibilities and worries, and at least me in particular, I expect more of myself, pretty much to an unhealthy degree. less than ideal. That's a video I was watching kind of recently, or listening to. I don't know, YouTube just kind of autoplays. It's just in the background noise at this point almost. Sometimes it's interesting. It was like top 10 things that smart people do, and I thought it was going to be a dumb little fluffy thing. Smart people are smart. Neat. Ha 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 ha. We're all smart. Lol. But it was like, it's like, smart people are depressed more often. Ha ha ha. Several clinical studies in these cited research papers indicate that, like, whoa, easy. Like, well, what's next? Smart people and more creative people also tend to be much harder on themselves. Ha ha ha. Like, all of them were negative, and they were all like recommendations for, if you're experiencing this, try to do this, try to focus on that. You know, I really, and the animation was like this happy little poppy animation that was, you know, low effort animation, where everything just kind of stretches, like static images, just they kind of distort a little bit back and forth. And I was very much not expecting it, but you know, that's like the other thing. It's like with the creativity thing. And Jordan Peterson is like the only person I've heard talk about creativity as anything other than a glowing, wondrous experience that we all wish that we had, and we all have. Creativity is a measurable trait, and it has pretty severe negatives. And there's just nothing you can do about it. So that's great. You know, the best way I've heard it described by him, and I feel like he's struggled to describe it because it's an odd phenomenon. But the best way I've heard him describe it is, do you want to be possessed by random ideas all the time? And that's pretty much it. I don't think he said random. I might have put that in. I might have interjected that. The idea of being possessed by random ideas all the time. It's just, I mean, it's neat that you get to explore stuff, and God bless the internet. I mean, I make custom keyboards and I talk about input devices. This is esoteric garbage, man. Who, you know, if I'm in a town, if I'm in a city, and I'm like, hey, let's have a keyboard meetup, give me a break. I'm gonna be there, and like my mom would be there, be like, I brought the deviled eggs, honey. That would be it. But with the internet, yeah, we can do this weird stuff, and that's a great boon to creative people. But I mean, it doesn't change the fact that most creative endeavors fail, period. So all you can do is just create a bunch of stuff. You know, fail faster is a very good motto to have, like, always. But people don't understand that it's, I think we romanticize creativity. And that's where the, well, everyone's creative thing comes from. It's like, yeah, sure, everyone's creative. Yeah, if everyone was creative, we'd all be neurotic people constantly distracted by random bits of paper fluttering by us. I mean, I think it's neat. Well, I don't know. I can't say. Because I feel like everything would be bland without it, but you know, if you don't feed that creativity, everything just turns gray. It's he did say that JBP did say that creative people can't not create, because they, and I believe this was his quote, they just die. And I don't believe he meant literally, physically die. At least I hope not. Oh, that's nice. But like when you don't feed it, just everything is wrong. Everything is wrong in you. And you tear yourself up with this idea that, like, I really got to work on this thing. And like, well, this is actually more important. Like, literally, measurably more important. And I'm going to do the more important thing. And they're like, okay, they, I don't know who, your creativity is like, okay, that's going to fly for like a day, maybe 2 days. And then you're going to feel terrible because you didn't get this book on this weird thing that you don't even really care about, but you just gotta find out about. And you read it, and I've got so many things in my head, and I retain all that stuff. I remember all of it. My head's so full of garbage. Yeah, 1% of it is useful, but it's still all up there. And it's like, I'll dig into something for like 2 weeks, just be possessed by it. Free time, everything just flies away, and then at the end of 2 weeks, I'm like, done. Like, what? Am I gonna do anything with that information? Like, what was that 2 weeks for? I don't know. It's just a random exploration. Gosh, this video is taking a pretty weird turn. I'm home and I don't want to talk about this anymore. I don't know what to say.